Welcome to the Branded Impact Podcast. On this show, we go beyond surface level branding, honest conversations with industry leaders, behind the scenes of aligned brand building, and actionable insights to help you elevate your presence. I'm your host, Jo Espejo, aka Jo. Hit subscribe and join me each week for the Branded Impact Podcast. If you started a podcast and now you find yourself asking, now what? Well, I am so excited to share that on today's episode of the Branded Impact Podcast, I'm joined by Adrienne Barker, visibility strategist whose goal and focus is to help make finders shine. And honestly, she's got the answer for you. She's got next steps on if you've launched a podcast, here's what you can do next. So, Adrienne, thank you so much. Tell us who you are and what makes you passionate about what you do.
Thank you, Jo, with the most beautiful smile out there. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate your time and your space today. I grew up in the promotional products industry. I am now a consultant in the industry, and I have a podcast called the Promo Supplier Playbook with Lisa Fostick and Kimberly Ballerine. And we do that together. And that is for boutique suppliers coming into the industry. I've been on LinkedIn for over 21 years. I really understand it. And I was a SCORE mentor, SCORE, SCORE certified business mentor. So I'm not just a creator. I come with a strong business mind. Growing up in the family's promotional products industry and working with a variety of businesses that I had to learn what they do and understand their business before I branded them with any kind of marketing products. So all of that under one roof. And I'm a writer and a blogger and all that good stuff.
The passion, when you start talking about what you do, you light up about every single one of them. I would love to dive in first, the LinkedIn piece that you mentioned that there is an opportunity to do a custom pronoun to really differentiate yourself. So don't use the he, she, but if you go in and you have that custom option, what is your recommendation?
Well, I think it's 24 characters and you can have something. I think mine says making brands shine. Every time you post, every time you anything, people will see that because it's right by your name. So it'll pop up. So it's really fun. Not for everyone. If you don't have it, I'm sorry, not our fault. But if you do have it, take advantage of it.
What is your recommendation though? So like if they go into LinkedIn, you go to edit your profile and it's literally where you would go to find it's simple, guys, your name. And then I think it's like one or two lines down. It says pronouns. And then you click on it. And I scrolled down at the very bottom. I did have the custom option. And for me, brand amplifier, I was like, yes, that defines me. But if someone's listening and they go and they check and they're like, oh, I do have it. What's your recommendation for them to update it?
My recommendation is that they should be using a ChatGPT or some kind of AI that knows who you are. And you could just say, I need 20 characters of who I am for the LinkedIn pronoun area. And it works like magic every time. We'll always give you, because my key thing is with AI, because as us as branders, we can't be afraid of it. It should know you. It should already have interviewed you and know everything about you so that you can ask questions like that. Because also with your about, if you want a great about or an SEO, go to your chat AI. It's still your voice. It's just cleaning it up for you. So that's what I say. Have it help you because you shouldn't have something
Perfect.
that
I love
targets.
that. So just ask it. And then this is where, if you haven't yet and you haven't gone into ChatGPT and had it learn who you are, you need to. So take some time. And honestly, it's as simple as asking ChatGPT, how can you create content that is in my voice, on brand, and that targets my ideal clients? What questions do you need me to answer? And then it'll go in and you can answer that. But I love that simple tidbit. Okay, so back to podcasting, because I think that this is where truly from what you have to offer right now, you are differentiating yourself. So tell me a little bit about what's coming up next. Like you guys are first, please share what you guys are
Okay,
doing.
I'm so excited. So I have a podcast called Adrienne Barker Speaks, No Prep Needed. And I think the goal for many of us, depending on where your podcast is, for me and for you, Jo, we want to amplify people. That is our glory, right? I bet you go into a restaurant, what's delicious. You're like, I'm doing the 5-star review because I want other people to know, right? We're sharers.
Yes.
We want to teach it. We want to show off what we've done. So this is my book, Unscripted Brilliance, because I am the chief marketing officer for PodToBook.ai. And I'm going to share the story. Sheila Slick, the creator, is the first one to bring this to market. Nobody else has. Someone else tried, but they're still waiting. She took 6 months, finally got it together. And it is not a transcript. It's absolutely these beautiful books let's see if you can see it.
Yes.
I'm so proud of it. But the key is that now I've got 16 voices. You'll have 15 from my podcast that is in a book. And of course, my most important page is the one that I dedicate to my children. And I think that as all of us go, is the fact that we can have something so beautiful to give to our children. And of course, get the royalties and sell the book. So like it's a win-win all over the place. So
So, what is the importance of this? So, this is where I'm going to tie it back into branding for a second, because I think as business owners, we get caught up in like all the shoulds. And then I know for me, like one of the things I had put on the list to do was a podcast because I knew about the benefits of having a podcast, right? It helps you elevate your credibility and visibility. And for me, I decided to do a podcast that I'm interviewing people because it really truly hones into like the core of my mission, wanting to help other female founders get out there and be seen. And so this setup for me tied in well because now I get to have amazing conversations. Selfishly, it allows me to create content without actually having to stare at the camera by myself. Because as much as I love to help pull that out of other people, you get me on camera without somebody else that I'm looking at, and I still feel like a deer in headlights. And it just feels so inauthentic to me. So it allowed me to do both, like serve my mission, helping magnify and impact other brands, and also allows me to create content and show up consistently and have these amazing conversations and now reels and getting on YouTube. But when you're thinking about branding, and now it's like podcast, next step, to be honest, I was thinking, okay, now maybe being a published author is coming up next. And now you're like, hey, you've already done the podcast. Now turn it into a book. And that's a whole nother level of branding. So talk to me about the importance of how you're able to create cohesive pieces. And then when you decide is the right time to take that next step.
So Jo, so you were saying, so what I didn't hear you say is that you're not using your podcast for new business. And that is the most important thing you should be doing. And you should have a question. And that question could be, what is your challenge with branding? So one of the benefits that you didn't mention of having a podcast is that it becomes a referral source, right? These people either may want you for business. There's nothing wrong with you afterwards saying, hey, that was a great conversation. You mentioned that you're challenged by your branding. And let me share, I didn't really have a chance to share what I do. You put the highlight on them. Don't forget yourself, right? Like they, so you really want to go back and look at that. Because if you're wanting to grow your business with your podcast, then that will make absolute sense. You should have a meeting right after that person. So for me, it's about developing another relationship. So just consider that when you're thinking about what you're looking to do. And then you're right about all the content. That's wonderful. And you want all of that. And all during this, it's really building that community. I mean, I think about it, Jo. At one point when you hit your 25 episodes, you have enough to create a mastermind. Or here's another idea. Why don't you go back and create a panel? Now pick 4 or 5, bring them back together and talk about some of the challenges that you heard. And now you've got a panel to discuss how you can help people with those challenges, right? So I just think that the ideas can be so creative. So we never know how we can help someone to shine and where that will take them. And that for you and I, that is what the gold is, right? That's what makes us like passionate and excited.
Oh my gosh, you just remember like so many gold nuggets that are there. And I'm like, if you missed it because she was talking so fast, she is talking about taking things as simple as a podcast or an event and then turning it into something more. And so then it's just identifying what these opportunities are. And I do love the fact that you even mentioned the opportunity for the people that have been on my podcast. If I now go to publish, now they're published authors because I love the concept. I love the idea. And I actually have started to look into it. And it can be kind of it's one of two things, right? Cost obtrusive, but also time. Because the traditional concept of writing a book is that you have to sit down and actually write. And then there is also the option of having someone write for you. But then to me, I'm like, yes, I know that there's amazing copywriters out there and there's a bunch of people that can probably write and sound just like me. But that kind of defeats the purpose of writing a book if I have someone else write it for me. So then I'm like, hold on, but do I have the time to sit down right now for this phase of my life? I'm like, that just sounds like a lot to take on. And then two, the cost of it. Like now I have to do what? To publish a book, to do what? Because we also know we can create content. We can do all the things, but if we don't put the marketing in the right way, then it's going to just sit somewhere on our drives or somewhere collecting dust and then no one's going to see it. And then that really just kind of defeats the whole purpose anyway. So I love the fact that you're bringing up this whole new world because I honestly, before we had this conversation, never even considered taking podcast episodes I've already recorded, already put in the time and turning it into a book. And for anyone that knows me, I am 1000% a firm believer in repurposing content. Whatever you are doing, it should live in multiple facets. And so, podcast is an example. I record it on video because I don't want it to just live on Airstreams. I want it to go on YouTube. And then I want to be able to create shorts to put on YouTube shorts and on Reels and on TikTok and all the things. Because if I'm going to spend this time and take somebody else's valuable time to create content, then why don't make it live in various formats? And then I take each episode, I also create a blog post. It also goes out in an email. And then it lives in so many different various formats. And you just opened my eyes to the fact that now I have the opportunity to take time and work I've already created and make it a book, which that sounds doable to me. I'm like, wait, now I can just edit it and make sure that the titles are what I want and then kind of review it. And that just, wow, like you just made becoming a published author come up to the top of my list instead of being something that I was like, yeah, we may revisit that in 2026. We'll see. But anyway, so anybody that's listening with the branding piece, I'm going to kind of have you shift into this like CMO hat for a second because podcasting for me is such a buzzword. And I have seen so many people start a podcast and then they really feel like it doesn't do anything. And I can be honest, like, and I appreciate the call out, by the way, because there is this passion project behind it. There is this desire to want to be able to amplify other people's voices and impact my business. I'm not going to lie, I've had a mindset block over this idea of asking people and turning it into a referral source. I had hoped that it could possibly lead into that, but I was kind of hoping it would organically come up and be something easy because as much as I've been in business on my own for a long time, I still think that the sales side, and you mentioned it, you're not salesy. I don't like to be salesy. And so then I didn't want to come across as like, well, now that I had you, it's a bait and switch. And like, actually, what I really wanted to do was pitch you at something. But I think that's something that I just honestly probably need to get over and just overcome and just ask the question. It's been easy for me to ask the question for like do you know anybody else who would be a great guest for the podcast? Like, that's super fun and easy. But yes, I think that's a piece I love. But is there anything else that you would recommend with your marketing, your CM, like somebody that's decided that podcast is the way that they want to go? What are some of the other things that they really should consider? And I hate saying you should do. So let's say consider doing to maximize the time that you're putting in.
I love that you just said this should do, opinions, like when people say you should do this and you need to. So do you give your opinion or not give your opinion? So I love that you even caught yourself. And I was kind of looking because I had a guest on, Liz Wolf, who had the Power of Asking book, and I bought it because the same thing. It's very difficult for me to ask. And so the best thing for us to do is kind of learn how to do it. So I love that you're doing the blog articles too. I think that is really important. But you're right. At one point, it's how you decide what you're going to do. I know very clearly, mother to daughter, I want a book out of it and I want expert guests and I want to solve a problem, but I'm not going to make money on it except maybe royalties, a store program, because my daughter, my friend is sweet and, butterflies, and my daughter's 19. So it gives her a chance to create things. So there's a lot under that, right? So for just that itself, the promo supplier playbook, that's a little different. We're now already mentioning companies' names and we're hoping to get sponsors for it. But what does sponsors look like? Because if you want to have a sponsor, you really have to kind of know what your angle is. You got to have a pitch, right? You have to be able to say, in my mind, hey, here's 3 episodes. We mentioned your name. Maybe you'd be interested in actually having us do that. Also, I don't know, I'm using RSS.com. So for my podcast, and you can monetize nowadays like right away. You can do paid ads. I don't mind the paid ads because they actually are very familiar to, like, my daughter, my friend, they seem to be like family related. So they're not weird ads. I made sure you could pick, but there is money coming in just on that. So I just want to say, pick your platform first, because often we don't talk about like where you're going to host it. And that's important too. What services do you use? And do you want to offer and share your affiliate? Do you want to share how you're doing it too? Like what you're doing now, this is a course right here, right? On how to
So
even start a podcast. But what most people don't have is that clarity of what can I do with it? And I think that for any business, you really want to think, where can I have you ask that one question, and then that question is what you go back to. During our interview, you said, And you may have already asked the question that you could already start now to go back and see, hey, let's meet, because you're not sharing about yourself, Joe. So we'll get off this, and I only know a little bit about you. And so this is your time to say, try it with me. Let's have a second call, because this way, Joe, I can help, like, see, okay, where can I promote Joe? Where do you want to be? Do you want to go to Creative Con February of next year? Do you want to sign up to be a speaker? Are you asking to be a speaker at different events? You know what I'm saying? So there's so much you could do.
So, clarity on the direction that you want to take it.
Yes.
And then, to be honest, I would say start doing some research on what even the options are. Because I went in with podcasting thinking, I want to do a podcast. I want to amplify other brands. I want to create content. If eventually I can start to increase my exposure, then maybe circle back to getting more clients and all those pieces. But I will say, up to this point, I haven't, but I also haven't really asked the question that often. I haven't asked for it. And then it's knowing, like, what are the next steps? So I love that. And if you're listening to this, knowing there are so many more opportunities than just creating content and getting out there and trying to have visibility and increasing your credibility. It's being strategic in what are your next steps. And sponsorship is one of the things that I knew about, but I thought that you had to have so many episodes already down before you could even be considered. And then I hear, like, the word on the street is, right, you have to have followers and downloads. And then once you get to this certain criteria, which, to be honest, I really have no idea what it is, on what is the criteria that you need before you can start to get sponsors. Because traditionally, that is how I heard you can monetize podcasts, was through sponsorships. But then I compare it to, like, major brands out there in my sphere that I know of, like Jenna Kutcher. I know that she gets sponsors all the time, but I'm also like, yeah, well, compared to Jenna Kutcher, my podcast is very, very, very micro. So it's one of those, like, at what point do you start? So you mentioned RF.com is a great place. That's at one platform where it sounds like you can start getting
Few of them
sponsorships right
now.
away.
Yeah, check to see if you can do paid monetization ads. If that's where, if you don't mind the ads, then it's pennies, but it adds up as you get downloads. But I think we're doing it also because it lasts. It's part of your legacy. So there's so much around it, and I don't think people should drive themselves crazy with it either. But if you are looking for referral sources, you should do it. I mean, if you have something you're selling, why not?
So, one last piece that I would love to tie in, as far as one of the questions I like to ask, like, when you, in all of your years of experience and all of the marketing that you've done, is there anything that you feel like is a common thread that you see that businesses that are kind of like in this solopreneur starting out on their own, that you saw that they did that you wish or they should have done sooner? And I get back to these shoulds, and I'm like, oh, I hate the word should, but there is so much information out there. And with ChatGPT and with the AI and with the video and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and it's like all of a sudden you could spend all of your time just trying to show up in all of the places. And then on top of that, you still have a business that you're trying to run. But as far as, like, branding and marketing, what do you think is, like, the biggest differentiator that really people should try to, like, nail down, hone in, and make sure that they nail that first before then rolling out all of the different mediums?
That's such a great question. Reminds me that Sheila Slick, the founder of Pod to Book, actually wanted to answer those questions. So she created a podcast, did all the recordings, turned into the book, and it's called The Daily Milestone. I think she's sticking with that one, the milestones that we have to take. So in essence, she's really answering that question. And so you have to kind of constantly build that social media. I knew years ago that it would be something that I needed. Whether, there's three things that we have to do every day if you're in sales or you're selling something. And let me just give this tip. One is go back to your past clients, right? Make sure that they're happy, work with them, let them know that you're still there. Work on what your plate is right now. What do you have that you have to work on? And your future. Well, what is your future? I used to say my future is, well, LinkedIn. It's a context that I'm making. My future is Chatter Social. My future is doing podcasts with you. Like, that's how you build yourself up. Try to do those three things every single day. You have to have the grit when you're an entrepreneur. My biggest advice that I could ever tell anyone in this world of ours, if you're still working and employed either by yourself, don't ever tell anyone you're busy. It will be a killer for your business. First of all, who cares? They're busy too. You may be just talking to someone who's actually busier than you.
Right.
Nobody's busier than the mom that has a baby at home. Like, we can't beat that. That's real busy. And so you don't know how many people that you've turned off by saying, I'm so busy. I've got enough business. I've heard some crazy people saying some like, I'm all set till 2030. And then the next, they're asking for business. You really, you know what? It's okay to say, oh, I've got a lot going on and I'm loving every minute of it. But if you say, I'm really busy, I hear, ooh, I can't even recommend that person because they're so busy.
That's a good one. And I think for me, unintentionally, people equate busy. You're on the go, you're doing all these things. And I started to hear often that I know you're busy, but, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hate that word. And so I actually chose to start responding this year with, I'm not busy, I'm being intentional. And so if I say no, it's not because I'm too busy, it's because I'm being intentional and choosing to do something else. And so even that own mindset shift for myself has been a game changer because when I even hear myself say busy, it's just got this negative connotation. And it's almost like, have you ever served? But I used to be a server and I was like, man, if you got in the weeds, forget it. You're done. Like there's no getting out of the weeds until the restaurant closes and you go home for the evening. I feel like busy kind of has that same connotation to it. Like when you say you're busy, it's just not a great feeling. And it's almost like your mind is like, well, you're already so busy. Even if it's not with clients, it's with all the things. You're never going to see light at the end of the tunnel. And so I have chosen that little shift with I'm not busy, I'm intentional.
Ooh, love it.
Two things happen. One, it sounds different, right? Like it makes everyone stop and go, but then I also have to ask myself, are you being intentional right now? Is whatever action that you're choosing to take, is that intentional? And then what's your next step? So whether if it's Sunday and I know that my to-do list is still however long it is because I'm a mom and I'm a business owner and I'm a wife and somewhere in there I'm also a person needs, you know, take care of herself somehow. I am now finding that I can allow myself the time to sit and just cuddle with my kids because I choose in that moment to be intentional to spend time with them. And that's allowed me to settle and be like, well, whatever else is on the to do list can just wait. Because in this moment, you're choosing to be intentional to do this. Just like if I'm cooking dinner or I'm doing laundry, I'm like, well, this is your time to be intentional to make sure that this gets done. But it's also become much more manageable. I'm finding myself now when I go to do laundry, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm doing laundry again. I'm like, all right, well, we're keeping the process moving. There's a method and a madness and it's working. It's been an interesting shift and it's allowed me to also start making decisions. I looked at the calendar probably a month ago and I was like, this is not working. This is busy. This calendar here is driving me crazy. So then I decided to be intentional. And I love that you said that you don't even meet your people before you get on a podcast because I've started to make that shift. I was doing meet and greets before a podcast because I really do enjoy the conversation and I love making connections. But I started to get overwhelmed by a meet and greet and a podcast and all of the things. And so now I've recently shifted into a model of if you're interested in being on the podcast, here's the information. Please fill it out, schedule a time. And I'm literally meeting you now, most of them, when we're about to record an episode. And it's still beautifully working. It
I
was intentional.
Yeah, the reason why I do the live is that you don't have so many recordings because I do have, I think right now I probably have like 3 months worth of publishing, but the people are going on live. So they're getting the live. So they're living on my lives, right? And then I turn it into a podcast. And it also takes the pressure away from like I won't be, like you said, November, January, February. So I find that too. And you get a different kind of person that will come on live, someone that really knows their information. I've had plenty of people that are like, no, I can't go on a live. I don't really, and that's okay. I want the people that own it, right? They own what they know and this is their
Yeah.
business. And so that's what you find with the lives too. So you may want to try it. It's kind of fun. And I think you have
I'm actually think I may. Well, and I think you nailed on the part that honestly for me, because I have a little bit of and I don't know what the right word is, but just something about the fact that I'm having these amazing conversations and then it's not going to publish now for
right.
an X amount of
Right.
time, right? Because I want to stick with my once a week cadence because that feels good. I can manage that. At one point I'm getting so far out. Maybe I go to 2 a week. And then I was like, no, that doesn't sound great. But you just gave me a solution that solves both problems. It allows me to publish the information and share it now and again. So then you can go live today when we're recording the podcast, and then it goes on the actual podcast and all the places when we can actually edit and publish. The live piece works for me because that's authentic, right? This is who we are. And when I edit, honestly, it just comes down to like, is there fluff that we can take out? Is there something? I want it to be intentional and make sure that we're cutting it down. But that's it. It's not like we're changing the voice or
I don't do any editing. My other podcasts get an intro and outro. This one doesn't. I've never been like bombed. I never had any issues. I've never had anything that was a problem. And one of the things, Joe, is take my cell phone number down. 386-631-4577. And everyone listening, take my phone number down. I'm not afraid to give my phone number. I like doing business with someone I know I could call. And
yes.
so for everything I do help to book people on podcasts is something I love because again, it's so lovely to be able to give people. Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show, Joe. I really love
Oh
being
my
here.
gosh. It's been amazing. Well, Adrienne, anyone that's been listening and they're interested in learning more about either unscripted brilliance or your pod to book, I think is what it's called, or
Yes,
having you
PodToBook.ai.
help them with promo materials or marketing or whatever the case may be, where can they find you?
So you got my phone number. And I'm really proud of myself. This is what you do. Adrienne Barker, comma, MAS. Oh my gosh. There's nothing like at 2 o'clock in the morning Googling myself. It's so much fun. I pop up everywhere because I intentionally made sure that I do and happy to make sure that anyone understands how you get the eyes on you. So I can honestly say, just type in my name, Adrienne Barker, the comma MAS highlights it. You'll find me everywhere. I'm on everything but Snapchat. Well, I mean, I use it for the filters, of course, but I don't do any posting.
But you're not going to find it. So if you've been interested, Adrienne, you could use some help on even turning your podcast into a book. I mean, that's going to be huge. I will be looking into that myself soon. So find Adrienne Barker, comma, MAS, and you will be able to find her on all the things. And so one final takeaway, Adrienne, what is the one thing that if anybody could leave with, what would you want for them to leave with today?
My biggest advice that I see all the time people don't do when you text someone. So if you're going to text me, I just gave you my cell phone number. Make sure you say, "Hi, Adrienne, this is Joe," and then how you heard me, because there's too many people are texting and we have to remember to just say who you are. It sounds so silly, but you know what? That golden nugget, take it with you. Don't text without letting people know. Have a signature. Don't make people look for your phone number. Double check your I can't tell you how many clients have the wrong contact information, the wrong website. Make sure you have everything there because guess what? If I want to give you business and I can't find you, I probably won't give you business. And I need more than an email. And I think there's other people out there that want to know there's an actual person. And the best way to do that is a cell phone or number, or phone number, whatever it is, a phone number. If you got a landline, I guess that's good.
Such golden information. Okay, so two things, guys. The takeaways are make sure when you're texting that you actually introduce yourself. And I'm laughing because I totally sent a text message the other day to follow up with someone I had met at a networking event. We had already exchanged couple, but it had been, in the midst of like all the crazy. I had to go back and edit it. And I was like, oh, yeah, by the way, this is Joe with. And I did that exact same thing. So it's so easy to get caught up in the like, just send the message. If you're messaging, make sure you introduce yourself and how you know them so that they remember who you are and make it easy for people to get a hold of you. This right there, I can't tell you the number of times I've gone to refer somebody or I've gone to follow up with somebody and I'm like, I cannot figure out how to get a hold of you. Like, I'll even take an email address at this point, but there's no phone number, there's no email address. You're just setting me on this wild goose chase to try to find you. So, apparently, Adrienne has figured out how to make Google and all of the things find her just by her name. So, if you'd like some more advice, she's someone to check out.
I do want to say this. We all need someone like Joe, the branding expert. That is, I'm very different from what you do. And I want to make sure that anyone listening knows that they should be looking at your business for the branding and what you offer. And you are strategic and you're very professional. And I love all your work that you're doing. So call Joe. That's who you want to call.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. I love to say that we work together, right? So for me, I like to say I am the foundation that once the marketing and everything is working and you're sending them somewhere, I'm the one that when they land, they're actually going to know how to call you and how to find you and who you are. Because ultimately for me, I love to say, especially if you're running a service business or something like that, they need to see your face. You need them to know who you are and what you're about so that they can know, like, and trust you before they even get on the phone. So thank you for that point out. I really, really appreciate it. And for anyone that has been listening, if you have found any inspiration in this and you think that there's someone out there that you could share it, please do. Adrienne has provided so much insight today. She's got a cell phone number. You can go to my website, brandingbyjo.com, and I have phone numbers and email in any way that you want to contact me there as well. But as always, anyone that's listening, please do not be afraid to show up authentically and go out there and make your branded impact. That's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Branded Impact Podcast. If today's episode sparked something in you, please take a second to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend who's ready to unlock their rebrand era. And if you're ready for a brand that's rooted in authenticity and built for impact, one that truly reflects your story, your energy, and your evolution, let's connect. Head to brandingbyjo.com or DM me on Instagram at brandingbyjo. Thanks for hanging out. Now get out there, show up with purpose, and make your branded impact. I'll see you next week.